Yes, good evening students. Let me continue the lesson. So, before in our last video class, we did study about the plant tissue. Yes, today we are going to continue the class by another topic known as animal tissue. Okay, shall we start the lesson? Yes, tissue. Before we going to the next topic, let's remember what are all the aspects we are already discussed in our last class. That is about the plant tissue. Okay, in plant tissue, it has two important type of tissue, that is meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. So permanent tissue again classified into how many type? Two type, that is simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Yes, and again simple permanent tissue classified into three types. They are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma tissue. And the complex permanent tissue is nothing but xylem and the phloem. Okay. Yes, the one more tissue is there, that is known as epidermal tissue, which is known as outer covering of the plant. Okay. So these are all the aspect we already studied in our last class. Okay. So did you remember now about the tissue, plant tissue? Okay. So know any other doubts? Okay. If you have any doubts, you can call me. Okay. Yes. Let us start the next topic, that is animal tissue. There are basically the main two types of living organism is the plant and the animal. Okay, so this plant and animals, so these two are having the more and more complex structure, body structure. So because of the structure, it has more and more tissues are also there. Okay, so that is what we are discussing now about the tissue. Okay, so this is about the animal tissue. The tissue which is present, we can find in the animal is known as the animal tissue. Okay, so you know that the tissue we cannot see with our naked eye. Okay, it can only seen under the microscope, compound microscope and electron microscope. Okay, it will not seen. If you want to see, so we can see only the organ. Okay, so organism we can see, but we cannot see the tissue under the with our naked eye. Okay, so here the mainly animal tissue are broadly classified into four types. How many types? Four types. Let us see what are those types. They are nothing but mainly epithelial tissue. Okay, note down this. Epithelial tissue, connective tissue, epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and the last one is nervous tissue. Okay, repeat again. What are all the animal tissues are there? Epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and the nervous tissue. But in plants only two mainly major parts are there, meristematic and permanent. But in animals there are four major tissues are there. Okay, so let us learn about them one by one in detail. Okay, this we will study later. Okay, so first I am going to then take a subtopic, that is epithelial tissue. Okay, epithelial tissue. So if I give a task for you, okay, what is that task? It is nothing but, okay, so all of you sit properly. Okay, so straight your backbones now. Okay, so slowly take the oxygen. So slowly breathe. Slowly take air. Yes, and slowly release the air. Okay, so observe your chest. How do you feel? Yes, observe your body part, that is chest part. What happen? It will expand and it will relaxed. Expands and relax. So whenever you are going to take the oxygen, it just become broad and then it will become very smaller in size. Why? Yes, this is also because of the tissue. Okay, this movement is because of tissue. The tissue is nothing but that is the muscular tissue. Okay, so not only this muscular tissue, many tissues are there, they perform their function. Okay, that we study later. So here the epithelial tissue is nothing but the tissue which is present in the outer side of the body, outside the body. It is nothing but it is just like a skin. Okay, where in plants we see about epidermal tissue. Okay, plants having epidermal tissue, but animals having epithelial tissue. Okay, so both are outer layer, outer covering of the body. Outer layer of the body is known as epithelial. So here epi is nothing but the outer. Okay, epi is nothing but outer. Thelial means layer. Okay, epithelial is nothing but outer layer of the skin is known as epithelial tissue. So even our skin, okay, if you got any injury to the skin, so skin will peel out. So take that peeled out skin, and if you observe under the microscope, we can see the epithelial tissue. Okay, because skin is an organ. This skin organ is made up of tissue. What kind of tissue that is? Skin organ is made up of epithelial tissue. Okay, many kind of tissue, epithelial tissue together form an organ known as the skin. That is the outer layer of our body. Okay, so here also there are many types are also there. Mainly 3 types of epithelial tissues are there. They are nothing but striated, squamous, epithelial tissue, squamous epithelial tissue, columnar epithelial tissue, and the next one is the cuboidal epithelial tissue. Cuboidal epithelial tissue is what are the 3 types of tissue? Epithelial tissue, squamous epithelial tissue, columnar epithelial tissue, and cuboidal epithelial tissue. So mainly 3 kind of epithelial tissues are there. Okay, let us see what are those structure and what are their function. Okay, so here mainly you should come to know about their structure and function, that's all. Okay, how about this? What is their structure and how they perform their function? That is the main concept here. Okay, structure and functions are the main concept. Okay, so here squamous epithelial is nothing but the name is as it is says that the cells which is having square shaped cells. Okay, so square shaped cells, the tissue which is having the square shaped cell, they are called as squamous epithelial tissue, because you know that the tissue is made up of cells. Okay, so here we take this is the basement membrane. Yes, what is this? So here each and every one is a cell. Okay, each and every one is known as here the cell. So all those cells are, what is the structure of these cells? They are in, each and every cells are in square shape. So the name squamous. Okay, squamous epithelial tissue. So what is the location of this squamous epithelial tissue? So where it is found? It is found in the outer layer of the organ. Okay, if you take any organ, okay, if you take any organ, so these organs, the outer layer and the outer body of this organ is made up of this squamous or columnar or cuboidal epithelial tissue. So here this is known as the basement membrane. What is this? Basement membrane. Okay, so these are the cells. So the structure is like this. This is known as squamous epithelial tissue. So where do you find the squamous epithelial tissue? And of course, it is present in the esophagus. So what is meant by esophagus? It is nothing but the food pipe. What is this? Food pipe. Where do you find the squamous epithelial tissue? That is in the esophagus. Esophagus is nothing but what? Food pipe. Anna nala. Okay, so this is the passage. So what is this esophagus? It's a food pipe. So where it perform the very important function in passage of food. Okay, it carry food from the mouth and then it helps in the reaches of stomach. Okay, it helps in the transportation of food to the stomach. So that is what this is, the esophagus. So this esophagus is a muscular organ. So this should be flexible. Okay, it is just like a pipe. So this like pipe is made up of some kind of muscles. Okay, so this outer muscle, it is having what? Squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, the food pipe, the outer lining of the food pipe is made up of squamous epithelial tissue. Why it is like this? Because if you swallow any food items, the pipe, it should expand like this. Okay, it should expands and contracts. Okay, so this should be flexible in nature. If it is not flexibility, so food cannot entering into the stomach easily. Okay, it is not possible. Okay, so the main function of this is the protection of the esophagus. It protects the food pipe and helps in the proper passage of the food item. Okay, so that is what the squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, so the next one is the columnar epithelial tissue. Columnar epithelial tissue. So as the name says that the cells, these are in column shape. What is this? These are the nucleus. So the whole part is known as one cell. This is one cell. This is also a cell. This is also a cell. So each and every cell is having nucleus. So this tissue is nucleated. Okay, it is having nucleated cells. Okay, so this is also having the basement membrane like this. Okay, basement membrane. These are the columnar cells. So columnar is nothing but it is just like a column. Okay, column hakin rahega tirahe tane. So what is the structure here? The columnar shape. So here cells are column in shape. Okay, so here at the end of the cells, these are having many hairs like this. So these are called as cilia. Okay, what are all these are called as what? Cilia. So this cilia is nothing but hair-like structure. Okay, so this hair-like structure helps in the proper passage of air. Okay, so basically this tissue is present in especially in respiratory tract. Respiratory tract. Respiratory ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಉಸಿರಾಡೋದು. ಉಸಿರಾಡೋದು ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ? That is through the trachea. This is what? Windpipe. Okay, this is present in food pipe and this is present in windpipe. Columnar epithelial tissue present in the windpipe. That is what? Trachea. So here also for proper passage of air, okay, it is having the columnar epithelial tissue and also it has mucus. So mucus is nothing but it's a jelly like structure which is helps in the dilution of dust particles. Okay, dilution of dust particle, and as well as the cilia is also helps in the filtration of dust particles. So basically this respiratory tract is helps in what? Respiration process. So what we take air into the body, into the lungs. So this air, if it is contained in a dust particle, that should be avoided by this cilia. Okay, so basically this dust particle is already filtered in nostrils. Okay, and the finest particle of dust particle, so it is filtered in the presence of cilia. Okay, so not only in respiratory tract we can find this kidney. Okay, and also in esophagus also. Okay, in other location also we can see in the columnar epithelial tissue and also in the pancreas, the wall of the pancreas. Pancreas andre eno? Stomach. Okay, at the inner wall of the stomach also having columnar epithelial tissue. Okay, so here also mucus is present. So this mucus helps in the proper passage of food materials. Okay, so this is the main function of columnar epithelial tissue. So here the one thing we should mind is how about this structure. So they perform, their work is also like that, they perform the suitable function. Okay, so the next one is the cuboidal epithelial